Alan Coleman, who beat John Caballo, meets Adelaide's company director Rod Baylis in our second men's match of the P&O Invitational. Baylis has represented South Australia 9 times. He won the Perth Cup in 1982 and carries a league average of 201. Baylis won 11 straight TV matches in bowling programs in 1966, and that's still an Australian record. Today he has to win just one to move up the ladder towards the grand final. Join us after this break for the second P&O Invitational 10-pin match. Alan Coleman on your screen now will be up against a very great TV bowling champion, Rod Baylis, particularly in the 60s and 70s, Rod Baylis, but his opponent is Alan Coleman, the winner last week. And what a great performance he put up. 208 game to beat John Caballo of Perth, but that's not a very good opening, is it, Bob Cook?
Not as good as last match. Very difficult split, the 7-10. It's virtually impossible. It's got to be a rebound off the kick to get it. Baylis now, starting up, a very seasoned TV campaigner.
And he looks like it too. That's a good way to open. A South Australian, ex-policeman, now a company director.
Coleman will be looking to get one of these pins, hoping for a bounce off the back wall.
Let's see what happens. Ooh, see that pin fly up the back then. That was a rough outside chance, but as Bob said, that is one of the impossible conversions to make in the game, and probably a couple of them spared each year in Australia through sheer luck, no ability required.
Baylis was the representative from South Australia in last year's P&O series. He's got the experience under his belt.
But crossing over that time to the left side of the head pin and leaving himself the 3-pin to go for. An easy conversion for him. And Alan Coleman wanting to make amends now for that disastrous first frame. He's not attacking the pins like he was in our last game, that's for sure. Very tentative.
Baylis using a hammer ball, one of the newer balls from America. Oh, he didn't like that.
No.
Lost his footing. A bad miss.
Yes, that's an easy one. And he shouldn't have done that. And Alan Coleman now in the second frame with a chance to make up some leeway after that disastrous miss by Rod Baylis, missing that single 3-pin when he slipped on the approach. Coleman can take a 1-pin lead if he can get a spare and follow it with a strike. Needs a spare. He's covered it right in the right place. Under pressure then too, because he can now regain the lead.
That miss by Baylis shows the importance of footwork in 10-pin bowling, as in any sport. His feet weren't correct at the finish, and the shot was wayward. He'll be making amends if he can. Still looking at his feet, not happy there. The ball crossed the head pin. Left him an easy spare all the same, a 5-pin.
Well, Alan Coleman can take the lead, as I said, with a strike here. They're certainly not as vigorous as the opening frames of our first match.
It looks good.
Yes, that's the way to go. We'll take a look at that 10-pin going late. And there it goes now. And Rod Baylis a spare in the third frame. So 1-pin deficit for Rod Baylis after 2 frames, 28 for him and 29 for his opponent Alan Coleman, who beat John Caballo of Perth in our last match.
Alan bowling the ball very well off the hand, getting a lot of finger lift. Gives the ball rotation and keeps it driving into the pins.
Yes, it's only a full roller too, isn't it, Bob? And most of the top bowlers these days opting for the semi-roller type of ball, but Alan there getting plenty of pin action. And that's a good double for him.
That's the perfect example of that good rolling ball from the finger lift.
Yes, he had plenty of pin action there. That ball would have only hit 3 or 4 pins. But gave him a strike.
Rod Baylis. The 8 ball. Oh, dear.
Oh, yes, he's in big trouble now. Rod Baylis faced with 3 awful-looking pins, and they're very wide apart, the 4, 7 and 6. Let's see what he does with this. I would go for 2 if I was him at this early stage of the game. Needs as many pins as he can get. Oh, he gave it a go, Bob.
I think he went for the 2 all the same. And Rod looks a bit unsettled with his troubles on the approach. He's a big man, and you need to be well balanced and solid at the foul line when you let the ball go, and he's just not looking very confident.
Well, Alan Coleman now a chance to take a gigantic lead. He's got a split in the first frame and then a spare and 2 strikes working. Let's see if he can make it 3. Nice and smooth, but didn't quite come up that time.
His last strike was off a light shot, but that was a fraction to the right of that last result.
Yeah, I think he let it go a little bit quickly, perhaps, and didn't get it out in the lane. Rod's talking to himself there, hoping to make amends. He's about 22 pins behind in the 4th frame, and that's a better-looking shot. Beautiful ball by Rod Baylis, coming back after that split on lane 4, and that'll give him a little bit of heart.
Always nice to get a good strike.
Well, Alan's got a tough spare here.
Difficult spare for a bowler that doesn't hook the ball a lot. He's got to be very accurate.
And he's done it. Perfect placement. And he needed that one to stay ahead. Rod Baylis now, because of Alan's spare, needs to get at least 3 strikes in a row to catch up. This will be his second if he can do it. That's a better ball. Oh, beautiful shot by Rod Baylis, and that's cut the lead down considerably from 22 to 12. 12 pins behind.
That was the shot of a good bowler. And we all know Rod is a very good bowler.
Well, Alan Coleman took a deep breath there, and he usually likes to get up on the approach pretty quickly, but he's taking a little bit of time now. He knows this won't be an easy one to win. And he's come back beautifully. What a ball that was. Let's take a look at this. The ball goes light into the pocket, and there goes the 5, splashing across the pin deck, and takes the 7 and 10 out. What a great ball.
A very strong ball.
It's amazing that he gets so many revolutions on it with a full roller, whereas Rod's bowling a big ball too, but his is a semi-roller ball.
Yes, we expect outside the thumb hole.
Yes, we expect those sort of strikes from Rod. The sort of bowl he rolls, but, well, he needed another strike there to catch right up, but he's 14 pins behind now, 82 in the 5th frame to 96 by Alan Coleman, who has a strike working and can put a nice head on it here.
Coleman's been very consistent around the 1-3 pocket, which is the place to be. It's keeping him in front.
Yes, he had a good game, 208 against Caballo, and here's another good game coming up here. He's into the 200s already now, following his second double, and that's a good comeback after that first frame, which left a disastrous 7-10 split. Baylis going for a nasty one here, and didn't quite make it fit.
Difficult shot, the free 10. Rod threw the ball too wide, took the 10 out, left the front free pin standing.
Well, the situation is this, that Baylis has room for a 200 game. He needs 5 successive strikes to shoot 200 neat, and Alan Coleman at the moment shooting at a 206 pace.
Putting Rod a long way behind, Alan would have to make a mistake to get Rod into the game.
And if he gets a strike here, it's just about closed the gate. Looks like
he's very happy with
Alan
that.
Coleman's going to be one of our first bowlers to move up the ladder. He won the first match, and now it looks like he's going to go on and beat Rod Baylis in this second game. Baylis not out of it yet, though, and there's a good strike. Well, he's still got room for that 200, and Alan still has 2 frames in which to make sure he closes them. And, of course, by doing that, closing Rod Baylis out of the match. The winner of this game will go on to meet New South Wales bowler Kevin Quinn. But in the next game in this series, we'll see the first women's match, and it pits one of Australia's all-time great 10-pin bowlers, Ruth Gerster of Victoria, in against Queensland's Jill Coombs.
Coleman working on 3 strikes, looking for 4.
Oh, yes, and he's got it. And have a look at this. The ball goes in high into the pocket and takes the 4-pin and the 9-pin. There goes the 9-pin now.
He's showing us a great array of strikes, Steve, getting them from everywhere.
Yes, but all around that 1-3 pocket all the same.
Baylis in deep trouble. He won't give up. He won't give up.
No, he'd like to strike out and have a good account for himself here. He can still shoot that 200 game, but I'm afraid it's curtains for Rod Baylis. Our first higher seeded player, 5th seed, to go down to a lower seed, the 6th seed Alan Coleman. Coleman going up now in the 10th frame. He can shoot a massive game here. In fact, it can be in the 240s if he can go all the way. Showing excellent concentration. Oh, and he's broken them up, but not quite taking that corner 7-pin out. Well, it's going to be a game well above 200 and going on top of his 208 last week. A great effort.
Baylis can strike out for a 200 himself. Still not quite enough to win, unfortunately.
Yes, a good strike for Rod Baylis.
What a ball. He's had 5 strikes in his last 6 shots, but he had that split in between, which has cost him the game.
Yes, that would have been something. And Rod Baylis continuing on now in the 11th frame of the game, hoping to strike out for a 200.
Rod has rubber inserts in his fingers, gives the ball a better feel, and lets the ball roll off the fingers with more lift.
Let's see how this one looks. It's another one. Great finish by Rod Baylis, but it's not going to be enough.
He shakes his head. He knows he's bowling well at the moment, but he's out of the game. It's tough in a 1-game final.
Yes, it's no place for the faint-hearted, that's for sure.
One more strike for a neat 200, and Rod, in fact, averages 201 back in South Australia. He's bowled up to that here today, even with 2 open frames.
There it is. That's another strike.
Great
Finishing with 5 strikes in a row for a game of 200. And congratulations to Rod Baylis for that great finish, but he's going to take 6th place in the P&O Invitational and a prize of $250. We're waiting for Alan Coleman now to take his first ball spare shot in the 10th frame, and if he gets a spare and a strike, it'll be a 225. A good couple of games there by Alan Coleman.
Good confidence booster, Steve.
Well, he's got the state record in Tasmania and bowled just recently, a 236, 213 and a 253 for a 702 series, which is the highest series bowled in Tasmania since the sport started there in 1963. So a very accomplished bowler and making a great account of himself in this particular program. But as I said, in the next match, we'll see Jill Coombs of Queensland in against Ruth Gerster. Alan Coleman going through the motions now, and it'd be very nice of him to get a strike for a 225. That's one of the scores that league bowlers aspire to. Let's see how he goes. He needs a strike for it. Not quite, but it's a 223 game. And a very good win for Alan Coleman of Tasmania, 223 against Rod Baylis, 200.